helping assemble at the best facility for the richest race.
For open-wheel racing aficionados, the biggest motorsports event of the year is the legendary Indy 500.
This is the elite of drag racing, the Texas Motorplex in Ennis, Texas. And ladies and gentlemen, we've assembled here today to witness the Chief Auto Parts Nationals. Along with me today is Bret, Kepner, ladies and gentlemen, and now we're going directly to Trackside as the International Hot Rod Association presents qualifying for the Chief Auto Parts Nationals. And Bret, a significant happening during Saturday qualifying to Hank Andres.
Hank Andres, the veteran who has returned from a horrendous accident only a year and a half ago, suffered this horrendous engine explosion in qualifying, but it wasn't nearly as severe as Randy Meyer in the far lane from Lenexa, Kansas, who suffered a tremendous tire explosion that put his brand new Top Fuel dragster upside down and into the concrete retaining wall at the Texas Motorplex.
Interesting comment on Meyer, who built his own chassis for this vehicle, has an unwarranted test of his mechanical and engineering ability as we see the vehicle gliding against the guardrail, coming to a stop, oil dripping out of a catch can at the rear of the vehicle, and Meyer climbs out of this horrendous crash safe and unharmed. An incredible incident. Part of qualifying at the Chief Auto Parts Nationals.
The Texas Motorplex is probably best known for this run. The yellow Super Shop's top fueler of Eddie Hill on April 8th of 1988 runs 4.99 seconds to become the first man ever to break the 4-second barrier in the quarter-mile sport. It was an emotional moment, but Eddie Hill is qualified number 2 for this, the biggest IHRA championship drag race of the year, at 4.99 seconds again, over 282 miles per hour, and hopes to pick up a $100,000 bonus if he can win the Chief Auto Parts Nationals here today.
And here's the guy who wants to blunt that opportunity, Gene Snow, as he sprints the quarter mile to a new IHRA elapsed time record of 4:97.4 with a 2:72 trap speed to become the #1 qualifier in the program.
But the sport was rocked by the addition of a third driver under 5 seconds flat. Richard Holcomb's unconventional top fueler from the state of Georgia blasts through at 4.99 seconds over 277 miles per hour to qualify number 3 in the quickest top fuel program ever.
So the Krager 4-Second Club now occupied by 3 IHRA top fuel drag racers, Hill, Snow, and Holcomb.
In funny car eliminator qualifying, once again, Ed the Ace McCulloch and the Miller High Life Olds Cutlass Supreme blasted the sport with the quickest elapsed time in the history of the category, 5.23 seconds, the speed over 278 miles per hour. McCulloch is also in contention for a $100,000 bonus if he can win funny car eliminator here today at the Chief Auto Parts Nationals. In pro stock eliminator, Warren Johnson's AC Delco Oldsmobile led the field at 7.32 seconds.
Hi, everybody. This is John Lundberg. There are 3 cars in Top Fuel Eliminator, the first time in drag racing history in the 4-second bracket. And here to bring us coverage of the balance of the qualifying action here is our broadcast partner, Bret Kepner.
Well, John, as always, it is such an incredible event. As a matter of fact, the funny car field itself featured more career best elapsed times in qualifying than any event we had seen so far this year. In Bro Stock Eliminator, we've got 5 different brands of machines represented, all qualified within 13/100ths of a second. The alcohol classes are just as incredible. It's going to be an amazing event.
The third member of our broadcast team, Pat Patterson, is in the pits with Mr. 499, Eddie Hill.
Well, thanks very much, gentlemen. The man who is the #2 qualifier here at the Texas Motorplex for today's event is Eddie Hill. And Eddie, 3 guys qualified under 5 seconds. You made that first 4-second pass, under 5-second pass earlier this spring. It's going to be tough out there today.
Yeah, it's going to be a real war. It's hard to believe it. We got 3 guys running under 5 seconds now, but it's happened.
Another little tidbit of information that'll be on your mind today is Billy Meyer, the owner of the IHRA circuit, says $100,000 for the guy that can win back-to-back at the Motorplex. That's up for grabs today, and we talked yesterday about your financial independence, but I think it will be on your mind today.
That's not a little tidbit. That's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for me.
What do you got to do at the Motorplex? Yesterday's runs were extremely fast. What do you got to do today to win this?
I think we're going to have to try to repeat them and be consistent.
That's Eddie Hill, the #2 qualifier for today's race. He's ready to go at the Texas Motorplex.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the Chief Auto Parts Nationals brought to you by Motorcraft, quality parts for quality cars. And by Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality, always has and always will. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. For all you do, this Bud's for you. We'll be back with Top Fuel quarterfinals from the Texas Motorplex following these messages. We're back at the Chief Auto Parts Nationals at drag racing's premier facility, the Texas Motorplex. The quarterfinal round of Top Fuel Eliminator, John Lundberg, Bret Kepner, and Pat Patterson. Rudy Tepke ready to have at it with Eddie Hill. Earlier, Pat had an opportunity to interview Hill about 1989 in the pits.
Let's talk a little bit about the future of Top Fuel. You know, we've seen these under 5-second runs this year. Give me a little projection as to what you think will happen next year, Eddie. How much faster can we go in these cars?
Well, we think probably 290 is going to happen sometime within the next year or so, I think. Maybe not much before then. I don't think it'll happen this year. I'll be surprised if it does. But next year, I think you'll see 290 by a couple of 3 teams, and then maybe even 295 before the end of next year. And I don't know about the ET. I've already gone under what I predicted for the low for this year when going into it, but you don't ever know when these advancements are going to come, like the lockup clutches, you know, and the multi-stage clutches and the dual fuel pumps. Whenever we get some new technology that steps the cars up, well, it happens right away.
Rudy Topke ran a string of 5.12-second elapsed times that were unequal during qualifying, John. 4 of them in a row, but Hill is the one with the 4-second potential in this matchup.
2 cars, 2/100 of a second apart, based on first round wins. They're out of the gate. Tepke out first. Now it's up to Hill to catch him. Is he going to do it? They're together. Hill wins. 5:02 at 274. Rudy Topke, 5:14 at 276.
2/100 of a second difference between those two machines, and a 1/10 of a second hole shot for Topke just about won it. The next battle in this quarterfinal round of Top Fuel Eliminator will pit Laurie Johns out of Corpus Christi, Texas, up against one of the greatest drivers in IHRA Championship drag racing, Darrell Gwynn's incredible Budweiser-sponsored Top Fuel dragster. And this is a machine, John, that a lot of people thought would end up in the 4-second zone during qualifying.
He may before the event is over. They're within 1/100 of a second of each other, Bret. Based on first round wins, 5:13 to 5:14 with Gwynn, the quicker of the two. They're ready to drag race. Out of the chute they go. Laurie hangs a hole shot on Gwynn. Here he comes. It's all over now. Gwynn sprints to the quarter-mile, the winner. The elapsed time for Darrell Gwynn, the winner, is 5:11 to 5:19 for Laurie Johns. He goes to the next round.
Indeed, without a doubt, Darrell Gwynn has the 4-second combination that it may take to win this event. Here's Gary Ormsby, a 20-year Top Fuel and funny car veteran from Sacramento, California. And John, the Castrol GTX Top Fueler isn't seen too much at IHRA Championship drag racing, but it's proved its worth with a 5:08 in the first round.
His competition was supposed to have been Richard Holcomb, newest member of the Krieger 4-Second Club. However, in trying to step his car up in the first round of competition, Holcomb broke and will not be racing anymore today.
That's truly a shame, John. Richard Holcomb broke a crankshaft after a first-round victory over Pat Dagan, so Ormsby gets this free ride into the semifinal round. It'll be one of his best finishes yet this year in IHRA racing.
He's out of the gate and moving well. Ormsby wants to get lane choice in the next round. Will he do it? No, sir. 5:18 puts him in the semifinal round, but he'll be facing Eddie Hill, who has lane choice at 5:02.
Well, Ormsby's 5:08 during the first round was mighty impressive, and I'll tell you, if he can come up with that combination again, John, it will be a tremendous battle. But here's a guy that has been absolutely astounding during this event. His 4.97-second run in qualifying was at 272 miles per hour, but he's run a 4.99, a 5 flat, and a 5.02, all at shut-off speeds. John, there's no question that defending IHRA world champion Gene Snow in the near lane is holding back. He's got more power than anybody at this event.
One hopes, Bret, that Snow will absolutely unload his latest Top Fuel dragster, perhaps at the only plant in the country where that horsepower will truly go to the ground. He has more than a 1/4 of a second lead over LaHaye in elapsed time. The first round he ran 4.99. LaHaye 5:27 has really got his work cut out for him.
LaHaye's had a very difficult weekend, no question about it. Don't look for Snow to run it out the back door unless he absolutely has to. It's the last 100 feet where his combination is hurting parts. They leave the starting line almost together, but already Snow starts to drive away, shuts it off. You can see the parachute way out before the finish line. 5 seconds flat. The speed, only 267 miles per hour, 20 miles an hour down, John.
Funny car quarterfinals coming up when we return to the Texas Motorplex and the Cheap Auto Parts National. Auto Parts Nationals at the Texas Motorplex. Coming up now, quarterfinal round of Funny Car Eliminator. And Bret, coming to the starting line in this first match we're going to look at are two guys who, after first round wins, are just 0.03 of a second apart.
Well, Paul Smith, the guy we're looking at in Chuck Etchel's beautiful Future for Chevy Beretta, has stumbled upon a 5.3-second pace, his quickest ever. But Mark Oswald, the driver of the Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbird and defending IHRA World Champion, is running 5.30s at a very laid-back pace. They set up the car to run 5.3 seconds and not hurt parts. Paul Smith has got to really lean on that blue car to run that quick. They leave the starting line, and Oswald already is driving away at half track and flies through the lights at 5.41 seconds, 265 miles per hour to absolutely wipe Paul Smith off the racetrack. Not even a close battle as the defending world champ moves into the semifinals, John.
Cheap Auto Parts, Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. Dale Pulte, who certainly didn't run the quickest or fastest race in the first round, but one of the closest, as he was just able, after striking the tires, to drive around Della Woods.
But remember, John, that during qualifying, he became the second man in drag racing history to run under 5.3 seconds in this Cheap Auto Parts machine at 5:29, and also had a couple of runs that looked like they were going to be even quicker than that.
We understand that Tom Hoover, Bret, has got the Showtime car in this race with a brand new engine and driveline combination.
That's true, and it's a very unique one and a proven one. He's utilizing a power plant and direct drive transmission setup courtesy of Gene Snow, the man who's already in the 4-second zone. And Hoover picked up 0.2 of a second from his career best just with that combination here this weekend. He's running in the 5.3-second zone. Pulte has at least one run under 5.3 at 5:29.
Time for Dale Pulte, winning his funny car driver in IHRA history, to step up against Tom Hoover. Let's see if he can bring it off. They're out of the gate, moving beautifully together. Hoover on a pass is in the lead. Tom Hoover cycles into the next round with a beautiful 5:36, his second in a row at 256 miles per hour. Dale Pulte, runner-up at 5:42.
It's interesting to know, John, that with that Gene Snow motor combination, Hoover also is shutting the engine off before the finish line. That combination is very strong, but it seems to hurt parts if you stay in the throttle in the last 50 feet or so.
This is Ed the Ace McCulloch. Ed the Ace McCulloch is already the 1988 IHRA World Funny Car Champion. He's here to do two things. First of all, to run as quick and fast as possible. He's already qualified with a 5:23. He's also here to win $100,000, which in addition, if he wins Funny Car Eliminator, will give him a $125,000 weekend. Up against him is a guy who's probably spent most of his 30-plus years in drag racing being a spoiler. This is Jim Dunn, a 52-year-old professional fireman from La Mirada, California, in his Fireman's Quickie Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Like everybody else at this event, John, Jim Dunn ran a career best by miles in qualifying here at the quickest and fastest track in the world, 5:51 at over 274 miles an hour. But think about it, that's a quarter second slower than the Ace.
They're ready to race, ladies and gentlemen. Ed the Ace McCulloch, perhaps just racing himself. He's got to get by Dunn to continue in their event, and he's off to do it. Here comes the Ace. A thundering pass of 5:36 at 270. Dunn equals his qualifying time of 5:51, but too slow against the Ace. We're back at the starting line with continuing quarterfinal rounds in Funny Car Eliminator. Second-generation drag racer Mike Dunn in the beautifully executed Joe Paisano Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. And to face Mike Dunn on this pass down the quarter mile, another second-generation drag racer, this Scott Coletta, in a like machine built by his father, Connie the KFS Flying Service Oldsmobile. Interestingly enough, Jim and Mike Dunn are the only father-son combination running in the same professional class, while Scott and Father Connie campaign respectively in Funny Car and Top Fuel.
During qualifying, Mike Dunn ran another string of 5.3-second runs. And keep in mind that it was at this racetrack 1 year ago that he became the first driver ever to break 280 miles per hour with a funny car. Now, only Mike Dunn and Ed the Ace McCulloch so far have been able to run 280. And they've both done it at 280 miles per hour flat or thereabouts. But during qualifying, Scott Coletta stepped up more than a tenth of a second from his previous career best with a 5.31-second run at a speed well below his previous